The last thing we talked about was the categories that are the beneficiaries of zakat. And this was mentioned in chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah, verse number 60. And we spoke about 5 categories, and we stopped at the 6th category. And the 6th category is the debtors, those who are in debt, those who people want money from them. And these people either took the money or to help others. Those who took money to help others are usually mentioned in the books of fiqh to be those who reconcile between two fighting tribes or groups of people. So in order to reconcile between them, in what is broken, a person comes and says, listen, I will give you compensation of so and so, and goes to the other tribe and says, I'll do the same to you. Even if he's rich, just because he undertook the responsibility of trying to bring people, different tribes together, this is sufficient for him, inshallah, to accept from the zakat money. The other type is when he takes money for himself. And this is also depending on the reason. Is it a legitimate one or not? So a person who borrows money because he's poor, he has to pay the rent, he has to take his that sort. Such people are entitled to take from zakat money if they're unable to pay off their debts. But if the debt was not for such a legitimate reason, a person wanted to buy a new Cadillac, a Mercedes, a new Porsche, and he has to take money as a loan and pay installments, then he comes to me and says, Sheikh, help me in paying off my zakat, my debt. No, this is not logical. This is not legitimate. So we have to send him away. Someone who is building a real estate compound, undertakes a loan, building a villa, a new villa, and he asks for help from zakat. No, you are a rich man, and this is not a loan that is taken out of necessity, but rather out of luxury. So this does not qualify for zakat, and Allah knows best. Number 7, fi sabilillah, which is in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal. And scholars differed whether this category is specifically talking about assisting those who are fighting for the cause of Allah, or is it general? So building masjids is in the cause of Allah, building schools for tahfidh of the Quran, building publishing newspapers, supporting Islamic satellite channels, Islamic centers. The opinion is that the cause of Allah, fi sabilillah, is limited to jihad, which is the fighting for the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, and for those fighters who fight to uphold Islam to be the highest of all. So the Prophet was asked, alayhi salatu wasalam, a man fights out of bravery, out of nationalism, wars. So which one of them is in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal? And the answer would be those who are doing it to make Allah's word. So the most authentic opinion is that fi sabilillah is dedicated to war in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, in supporting of the mujahideen, as this is what was mentioned in the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. The eighth category is Ibn Sabil, what some call the wayfarer, and he is a traveler who was cut off, and he might be rich, he might be wealthy, but at the moment, due to his travel, he was cut off. And we see this a lot in Mecca and Medina. People come for Hajj, cash they had on them, and they said, okay, all what we need is to just go back to our country. Help us in going back to our country. So if this person is honest and telling the truth, sending him back to his country is a legitimate cause, and it is permissible, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. These are the 8 categories that your zakat money must be given to. Now, we don't have to include each one of them. So if I have $1,000 zakat, it's not a must that I give 120 here, 120 there, etc. for the 8 categories. No, I can give it to one portion of the 8, one of the 8 categories, and that would be sufficient, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal.